In this video, I'm going to do some problems where we combine set operations. So we do the union, the intersection, and complement, sometimes all in the same problem. And when we're going through these problems, there's a couple things that you might want to keep in mind, and we've got them listed here. So anytime you have parentheses, you're always going to do the inside first. Think of, it's kind of like order of operations, if you remember doing that in like an algebra class before. So for example, like an A, we're going to do A union B first because that's in the inside of the parentheses before doing the complement on the outside. Okay, the second one, complement is done before union or intersection. So that would be like in B, where you see the complement is that that apostrophe, and so we're going to find the complement of A, the complement of B, do those first, and then we do the union last. And then lastly, the union and intersection are done in order from left to right. So if you have several in the problem, like in C, we're just going to work left to right. So we would do A union B first and then intersect C complement. Okay, so let's jump in and do A. So like I said before, we're working on the inside of the parentheses first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to do A union B. We're not even going to worry about that complement on the outside. So to find A union B, remember that union, that means combine them together. So put them together. And so I'm going to take set A and I'm going to take set B and I'm going to write all of the numbers that occur in both of those sets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is in A. And then 3 I already have written down. I can write down 5 in B and then also 7 in B. So that takes care of everything that's in A and B, but I didn't write any of the ones that occurred twice. I didn't write them down 2 times. Like 3 I only wrote down once. The next step is to find A union B complement. And I always like to write these down step by step so that way I can kind of see the progress of my work, and it also helps catch mistakes if you ever make one. And so the complement, think of the word not or the phrase not in. So we want to find the elements that are not in this union. So if the union is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, then we need to find the elements that are not in that. So let's go up to the universal set, which is where you see this U. We're going to go one by one and we're going to see what numbers are in here that are not in this union. So the union is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does not have 6, but the universal set does. So I'm going to write down 6, okay? And then it has 7, but it does not have 8. So the numbers 6 and 8 are the numbers that are not in A union B, but in the universal set. So the answer to the question is 6 and 8. Okay, so the next one, we've got complements here, but then the union. And so we need to look at the second bullet and we need to make sure that we're doing the complement first before doing the union. So I'm going to write down A complement and I'm going to do that first. So this means what is not in A. And then I'm going to, before I do that, I want to erase what I circled from the last problem so I don't get confused there. Okay, so I'm going to look at A. A has 1, 2, 3, and 4. What other numbers are in the universal set that are not in A? Well, after 4, it has 5, 6, 7, and 8. So A complement is going to be 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then B complement, if B is 3, 5, and 7, I'm going to go through the universal set and write down any numbers that are not in B. So 1 is not in B, 2 is not in B, 3 is, 4 is not in B, 5 is, 6 is not, 7 is, and then 8 is not. So that would be what's in B complement. Then, okay, so this was, I'm just going to write a little 1. This was step 1, this was step 2, and then step 3 is to put those both together. And this U means union or combine. So I'm combining these two sets, A complement and B complement. I'm putting them together. So if you want, you can try to put them in order by looking through and seeing, okay, 1 would come first, and then 2. I don't see a 3, I see a 4, I see a 5, a 6, a 7, a 8, and it looks like I've got all of them. You could certainly just write them all down, you know, right after another, like 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 1, 2, 4, and then you don't write 6 and you don't write 8. Either way, you don't have to have it in order, but I sometimes like to write it in order because it organizes my thinking. Okay, so that's the answer for that one. And then for C, okay, so let's go down to C. This one, we want to make sure we're working from left to right, and we're going to do the complements first. So before we do anything, so step one, I'm going to do C complement. So I'm going to look at what's in C, 6, 7, and 8, and then I'm going to look at the universal set and say, okay, what is not in C? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C has 6, 7, and 8, so I'm done. So that would be C complement. Okay. Next, I'm going to work left to right. So I'm going to then do A union B, which means I combine those sets together. And actually, if you look with this problem, it's nice because I actually did A union B at the very beginning. And this is what's nice about writing down your work, is sometimes you can, use your work again and save yourself some time. So if I combine A and B together, I said it up here in this step that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. Okay, and then step 3 would be to take that. Okay, so I did these first two, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to intersect it with C complement. And the nice thing about that, so I'm going to write A union B intersect C complement. And I've already got them written right on top of each other, so A union B and then C complement. And so now I can go ahead and I can just circle what they have in common. So they have a 1 in common, a 2 in common, a 3, a 4, and a 5. And so the answer is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. For part D, what we're going to do is we're going to work on the inside of the parentheses first, but there's actually, in fact, I should probably erase what I have up here so we can see there's an apostrophe next to that C. So we have to do that C complement first. So yes, we're going to do the inside of the parentheses, but we have to do that C complement before we can do this intersection. So step 1 is to do C complement. So I look at C and it's 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to write everything that's not in C. So that would be everything in the universal set that's not 6, 7, or 8. So I'm going to write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then not write down 6, 7, and 8. So that's C complement. Then step 2, I'm going to do B intersect C complement. So I'm doing the entire inside of the parenthesis. So I do that next. And so if C complement contains these elements, then I need to figure out what that has in common, because intersect means in common with B. And so I could actually, you know what, I'm going to erase this real quick. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. I'm going to write B right underneath it so I can find that intersection really easily. So I'm going to write 3, 5, and 7. And so my step 2 is B intersect C complement. And to do that, I just wrote the two sets that I'm trying to intersect on top of each other. And then I'm going to see what they have in common. So it looks like they both have a 3 and they both have a 5. And so I write down 3 and 5. Okay, so now I've accomplished the inside of the parentheses. Next, I'm going to accomplish this complement that's on the outside of that. So step 3 is I'm going to find B intersects C complement, but the complement of that. So that means I'm going to look at this set, B intersects C complement, which is 3 and 5. Okay, that's all of this on the inside. And I'm going to say to myself, what is not in this set? So what is in the universal set but not in here? So I'm going to write down everything except the 3 and the 5. So 1, 2, skip the 3, 4, skip the 5, 6, 7, and 8. So now I'm done with all of this stuff. Now all I have to do, so step 4 is to union that with the A. So I'm going to take A union this set up here, 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8, because this set represents B intersects C complement and then the complement of that. So that's what this set is right here. And so to do that, I'm going to look at what's in A. So A is 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm just going to combine that with this set right here, 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, and 8. So I combine them both together, but I'm careful not to write any element down twice. So I see a 1 in both, I just write it down once. I see a 2, I see a 3, I see a 4, I see a 6, a 7, and an 8. And so my final answer is the set with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so now we have one more example. This one's a little bit different. So I love this example because we have a picture. We're going to use a Venn diagram with these sets A and B to answer the question. So a little bit different since now we have a visual. So part A complement. That means everything not in A. So one thing we can do visually is we could say, well, we could just cover up A and then jot down any of the numbers that are left. So the numbers that are left would be 2, 17, 6, 5, 12, and 3. And if it bugs you that these aren't in order, then you can go ahead and write it in order, but that's the answer. So for part B, we're finding the union of A and B, so we're combining these sets. So we're taking all of A, so it's A or B, which means A or B or both. So it's all of the numbers in these combined. And so I'm just going to write them down as I see them. So we've got 8, and then 9, and then 15, and then 13, and then 4, and then 16, and then 6, and then 5, and then 12. And again, just like the last one, you can certainly reorder this and put these in order after you're done if you'd like. For part C, notice you see the little n. That means the number of elements in A union B. So we have A union B up here, so we can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it looks like there are 9 elements, so the answer to that is 9. Okay, for D, we want to do B minus A. And so when we're doing B minus A, that means what the elements in B, but not in A. So that means we want to look at B, which is right here, but we want to get rid of anything that's in A. So I can cross off all of A, and so what's left over here is going to be the set with 6, 5, and 12. Or I could write it in order, 5, 6, and 12. And then this next one, I want to find the number of elements because I see this little n here. That means the number of elements in B minus A. Well, there were 1, 2, 3 elements in that set, so we're just going to write 3. For F, we're trying to find A intersect B. What is in A and B, or what do they have in common? And that's going to be this intersection. So that's going to be the set 4 and 16. And then the last question is just how many elements are in A intersect B? Well, there are 2 elements in A intersect B.